Welcome.
All right, we are recording. Oh, yay. And today it's such springtime. Everything is springing everywhere. I'm so excited, flowering. And here we are, Women Creating Wealth with Nikken, all flowering together, coming together to make some wonderful things happen in Nikken world, in our businesses, in our monetary recompensation for the work that we do. And I'm really thrilled today because we have a beautiful distributor, diamond consultant, Bernadette McBurnie, coming in from San Francisco. Bernadette's been with Nikken for a long time. She'll tell you her story, and she's been a vibrant member of our community, as you all know. And one of the most tenacious women I know. I think of Bernadette, I think tenacity. She's fantastic at, she just doesn't let nothing deter her. As she moves forward to create her business. And that's a very beautiful thing to see, Bernadette. So, this call is a specific call for the women in Nikken. We have a lot of how-to calls in Nikken about how to build a business and so forth. But this call, it has a little different tenor to it or flavor. And I would like to speak to that today with you and really ask you a couple of thoughts I have. I'm going to give them to you now, and then you can think about as we go forward. Your soul story with Nikken. What is your story, but from a very soulful level? We want to hear that from you, if you would. And why humans being more has always been so important to you, because you've been such an advocate for that. And then your inner practices. What are your inner practices to keep yourself aligned with your own soul, spirit, emotions, mind, and action? And then your outer practices. What are the things you do out there to make your business flourish, to make your mission palpable and real on the planet? So these are the kind of things I'd love us to talk about. We have half an hour. I know it's going to go by in an instant. But I'm so happy to have you with us, and I'm going to put it onto speaker view so we can all see you, Bernadette, in full living color. Although we love to see everybody there. Sandra, hello. It's great to see you. Beautiful face. So, Bernadette, let's start with your, see if I can hide the thumbnail a little bit. There we go. So let's just start with your soul journey. How long you've been in and what's really made you do this? What is it that's evoked this amazing leader in you?
Well, first of all, morning, everybody. It's wonderful to be there, and thank you, Julie, for having me. It's my journey with Nikken. It's hard to believe, but I'm going. It's 19 years that I've been associated with Nikken. It's really hard to believe, and it just feels like, it doesn't feel like 19 years at all, because I know that's something that is really connected to my heart. My story first, just for those who don't know my story, I think it's important, is, I looked at Nikken 19 years ago because I have 3 beautiful children, and my daughter, who at that time was 5.5 years old, suffered from a very chronic breathing issue. And she was under the care of 4 doctors at that time, 4 specialists. And at 5.5 years old, she'd already been 1.5 years on medication. At that time, I didn't know anything else. That's, just bring us back 19 years ago. We didn't know much. We followed, right? And I did, but I knew something wasn't right. And I just said, this can't keep going, because I could see my daughter change. It's one thing to be sick, but I could see her change in her joy, in her happiness, because she knew she wasn't well, and so on. And at some point in time, I remember particularly is I went to see the doctor and say, okay, what's going on? How long do we need to keep doing what we're doing and give her that medication every single day? And the answer I got, I didn't like. Because the answer I got was, well, we really don't know what your daughter has. So the bottom line is we're doing our best. And what we're thinking is you just need to keep her on the medication. How long? Maybe a few years, maybe all her life, because we really don't know what's going on. Well, I know there's a lot of mothers on this call, and my immediate reaction, no way. There's no way this is going to happen. And I was determined to find something, and so I think like a lot of other mothers, when we do everything that we can for our children and the people that we love and we care about. And I was on a mission. I was on a mission to find something for my daughter. I also believe that when we search long enough for something, or when we want it hard enough, things come to us. And sometimes it comes to us in a way, in a shape, at a time we don't expect. And it's a matter of whether or not we're open to it. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I was open to Nikken. I was open to something I absolutely didn't know anything about. And that didn't matter. Long story short, just like all of us, I went, discovered Nikken. And as skeptical as I was, it just felt right. And I always say, I always welcome skepticism, by the way. I always say this is a good thing, because if we were not skeptical, we would welcome everything and anything. And that's not right. But I say a healthy skepticism is good, because it makes us question, it makes us challenge status quo. And that's what I believe. So anyway, I embraced Nikken. And lo and behold, 20 years ago, what did we have? Not many things. We had a magnetic technology. Really, that was it. And a thermal technology, and that was it. So I got what was available. I had that leap of faith. It felt right, and I went for it. And I embraced the sleep system, a few accessories. And while Lauren had been sick for 18 months, on medication for 18 months, 2.5 weeks, just by changing her bed and putting a couple of accessories on the neck, and I have those, I have a little, something that I put as a pendant and little insole, they were that small. 2.5 weeks, a half turnaround.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
So, so I don't have to, so I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with what I discovered, and all I could think about was, oh my gosh, people need to know about this. Now, that's how I started. Now, many of us experience, negativity, skepticism from the outside. I had that, like I'm sure all of us, and from people I love and I care about. And the first one was my husband. And many of you, if not all of you, know my husband. And he was very skeptical. But I challenged my husband. And I said to him, the doctors are not giving us any option. So let me do what I believe needs to be done.
Yes.
And that was it. So fell in love with the product, Julie. And since then, and all I could think about, people need to know.
Yes.
People came into my mind, my mothers, my friends, and immediately all the people that I love and I care about. That's really what started the whole thing. Then I said, okay, now my rational thinking mind came on board and said, okay, now who is this company? What exactly do they do? And then I discovered something I had no clue about, which was, the business side of it. I didn't understand it. I've never done network marketing, and I do believe I was not on the list of anybody. And by the way, I don't know if you know that, but the person who introduced me to Nikken, actually, she wanted me in her team, because at that time I was the PTA, the president of the Parents Association at school. I was doing fundraising. She was seeing me being very involved in the community and really caring about what was going on. So she said, I want that girl in my team. That was her mindset, right? And her husband told her, don't waste your time talking to Bernadette. She'll never get on board.
Wow. Big mistake. Right? Big whoops.
And the reason here, and I think that's so important, because so often we get caught up in our thinking, Julie, that we forget that. But the reason why he said that is Bernadette and Anton are doing really well, which was true. We were doing really well. They didn't see any need. They were very healthy. Everything from the outside was perfect. They didn't know what was going on with Lauren, right? They didn't know I was at the time. And that's why I believe a lot of women like us are in those times. I was already thinking about, I chose to be a stay-at-home mom a few years before. Loved it.
Yeah.
But I also knew, now that my children were a bit growing up, our son was 7, Lauren was 5.5, and the youngest one was 4. I love being a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. but I also wanted to go back into the real world. Meaning I wanted to find something that, that I wanted to go back into the world and make a difference somehow. Sure. But I knew I didn't want to go back into a corporate job because that would not, the one thing I was looking for, and by the way, that's a little exercise, Julie, that I tell people to do. And particularly women, but actually everybody, I said that if you've never done that exercise, I highly recommend it that you do, because I did it 27 years ago. And that exercise is what has guided me for the last 27 years.
Wow.
Right? And that exercise was very simple. I don't know why I did that, but that's what I did. One day I was on my own at home. My little one was having a nap, and the two other one were in school. And I took a notepad and I drew a line in the mirror and say, okay, what do I want to find in my next career? Because at that time, all I knew was career, right? The word career. And on the left side, I put the things I wanted, and on the right side, the things I didn't want. Mm-hmm. And the left side, I wanted the first thing that came was control of my time. Second, no glass ceiling. Third, I want to be around people who inspire me. People right? I want to make a difference. All the things that really matter to me. And on the right side, the things I didn't want to find. I didn't want politics anymore. I dealt with politics in my corporate job. I didn't want that anymore. Mm-hmm. I didn't want for people that I didn't respect. I didn't, all the things. And when I looked at the list, I said, I don't know what I'm going to find, because that just seemed like the impossible dream, right? Yeah. And I remember showing that to Anton that evening, and he looked at it. He had a big smile when he really said, that sounds fantastic, but I don't know what you're going to find, because it does. I don't believe you're going to find it.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I know, it feels like it. But that's what was one thing. Now, through this exercise, I will tell you one more thing. I looked at the list, I said, okay, it doesn't feel like I can find everything in one. So what is the one or two things that are absolutely non-negotiable for me? Right. Meaning, whenever an opportunity comes to me, whether it's a job, a business, anything, if that doesn't have what is non-negotiable for me, I would not even consider it. And the one thing that was non-negotiable for me? It was control of my time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, when you think about the real world, how many things give you control of your time?
Not many.
Right? But that to me was the only thing that was absolutely non-negotiable. If I could not find any opportunity that came to me, if I didn't have that control of my time, no matter how great it would be, how much money I would make and all of that, I would not even look at it.
Yeah. Bernadette, this is really powerful what you're saying. And now I can't wait to do it myself, and I'm going to suggest everybody do it. And I'm wondering, would you consider putting on our, group, on our Facebook group, just some of those things that were for you, really non-negotiables? I think it would be helpful, like some of those things we don't always think of in the moment, like I don't want to work for somebody I don't have respect for. Like that's a huge one, but we don't always think of that, until we're in the situation where we have to work for somebody we don't have respect for. And then we're like, this is awful. So, so yeah, if you're open to that, I'm just going to...
Sure, absolutely, I could do that. And I have to tell you this is an exercise that I do all the time. Okay. This is an exercise that I've taught my children to do, because I'm all about passing it on as well to the next generation, because I said there's no reason for you to do something that you don't want to. That is, it's all about, and here's the thing, why was important to me? Because I wanted to be happy.
Yes.
And because I know that if I'm not happy, no matter how great of a job I have, because I've had great jobs. I loved my job before, but there were times I was not happy. There were times I was working with people I really didn't want to be around. Yes. There were times I heard things because I was a woman. I said, really? Really? This is the kind of things nowadays that we still hear? So to me, it was that. And I knew that when I'm happy, well, everybody around me is going to be happy.
Yeah.
My work is going to be better. I'm going to have more impact. I'm going to have more influence. Everything's going to be raised to a higher level. So that's really what was it. So for 27 years, this is what has guided me. And what that means is every choice that I make in everything is in alignment with that.
Absolutely. That's perfect. That's beautiful. That's living a life of integrity, living a life of authenticity, living the best life. And maybe that's why you've been such an advocate of HBM, humans being more training.
You know, you're absolutely right, Julie, because right from the beginning, even before I came across Nikken, I've always had, you know, I think I've had that since I was born. Because interesting enough is not, you know, I really just felt that this was who I was, is really life is everything. It's not just work, it's not just this, it's not just family. You can't, you know, it's like our body, you know, we are in living in a healthy body, right? That's what we do in Nikken. And I said, well, the arms are part of the body. Our legs are part of the body. If one arm hurts, the whole body hurts.
Mm.
So for me, life is everything.
Mm-hmm.
One piece of our life hurts, it's a whole life that hurts.
So maybe in Nikken, we're advocates for life itself. I really believe we are, with the technologies and the business and the community. We're really saying we want fabulous lives. We deserve them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes I have some people, you know, because very often obviously we're building a business. Let me make a comment. I've had somebody in my team say, Bernadette, you know what we do in business is we build businesses. And I challenge that. I say, is that what we do? And that person looked at me and said, yeah. I say, no. That's not what we do. What we do is we help people live their best life in every possible way. And we do that through the fact of building businesses.
Yes.
The business is the tool that allows us to help people live their best life in every possible way.
That's right. It's a vehicle. It's a vessel in which we can live a gorgeous life. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why, you know, business is just business.
Yeah.
But business is not going to help people connect at the emotional level. Unless there is that emotional connection, people are going to come and go. I do really believe, just like you, Julie, why are we here so many years later? It's because we're emotionally connected to this.
Yeah. Because
business is hard. Any business takes time and devotion and talking about tenacity. Yes, you're absolutely right. You know, I'm like a dog with a bone. If I have a bone, I don't let go because I know it's good for me. You know, I want it and I'm not going to let go. But it's the emotional connection. There's no real deep emotion connection to business. It's because that comes from the mind. You know, Nikken is all about, we talk about life in balance. To me, everything is about balance. Our solution is all about bringing balance from a biological standpoint, you know, from a well-being standpoint to the body. But Nikken is about having balance between the product and the business. I do believe that those who really thrive are those who really embrace that philosophy of balance.
Yes.
In every possible way.
Yes, that's why we work so much on the heart, the mind, the family, like really finding it. And sometimes we go out of balance to find balance. I know when we're really going for a goal, if we're going for platinum or diamond or whatever, we're probably going to go a little bit out of balance, but it's in order to get the balance later on.
And absolutely. And, you know, and I really believe, you know, is balance. You know, I'm known to be a disruptor, and I promote myself as a disruptor, because I challenge status quo, and because it's only when we get out of our comfort zone that there's progress. Mm-hmm. Right? Because and by the way, so those who work with me, they know that, because I said, by the way, I don't like very often I say, I hate that word comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's nothing about comfort. We know so many people who are in so-called comfort zone and they hate where they are. Why do we call that comfort zone?
I don't know. Static. It's usually a place of static.
Yeah. For me, comfort means I'm cuddled, I love it, I'm pampered, I feel good inside out. That's comfort, right? So if we don't like where we are, why do we call it comfort zone? To me, it's the familiar zone.
Yeah.
The familiar zone, because that's all we know, the good and the bad. And it's easier to stay in a familiar zone than to start to get out of it, because the unknown is always scary.
I think that's, why John K. Lynch always said the number one quality you must have in our type of business is courage. It's courage more than anything else, because you are stepping out of that familiar zone and you're asking others to take a look at stepping out of a familiar zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Something much greater for a really soulful life and a spirit-filled life.
Yes, absolutely. And, and I believe that for us to succeed and to help others succeed, we absolutely need that courage. And courage also comes from that vision and that emotional connection.
Yes.
Because if we don't have that emotional connection and that vision for ourselves, for our bigger self, our vision for ourselves as successful, whatever success means to us, because everybody has their own way of evaluating success, and that's okay. That's okay too, right? But it's important that to be connected to that, because when we don't have that emotional connection and emotional drive, well, we fall back in our old environment. We are not making that step forward. We are not having that courage or that boldness of stepping out, because we tend to say, if people don't see me, that's okay. Then nobody can tell me anything.
And I think women have a very difficult time when they get a lot of pushback, especially from the people close to them that they love, which could be, mostly the primary partner. If the primary partner doesn't get, I think that's our most important prospect, because if they don't get what we're doing, it's probably going to take us down. I've seen that over and over again. Or it could be parents, or it could be children, or it could be your closest friends that say, what are you doing? You're wasting your time, whatever. And that, for women, we're vulnerable to that. We have to get really strong in our own deepest knowing and convictions, so that we won't allow that to take us out of the game.
Absolutely.
And they don't usually have alternatives either that are anything as great as what we have.
It's what this business allows us to do is, it's about really, I really believe is we're becoming more of who we are. A lot of times, I'm becoming different. I say, I don't believe that. I really don't. I believe that it's already in you, but it has been, put under a lid and disappeared because of our life experience, our upbringing, because of the relationship that we're going through. But everything, I do believe that all of us, we are here because we already have that in ourselves.
Yeah.
We need just to embrace it.
Yeah.
We need to feel really good about it. Which is why surrounding ourselves of people who want the same thing as we want is critical, because we need that support. We need that cheerleading.
We do.
We need also, the challenging aspect of it.
Yes.
Because we tend to, again, I'm good. And I always say, by the way, as soon as we're comfortable, get ready to become uncomfortable, because that's the only time that we grow up.
Right.
Is
That's
by
what we
becoming
learn.
uncomfortable.
We learn our greatest lessons in that place. I just had a wonderful conversation with a consultant a couple of days ago about being the wild spirit versus being domesticated or tame.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this great talk, and it was with a gentleman, and he's like, well, I keep thinking I should be more tame. And I'm like, but you're a wild spirit. You want to bring that forward, not annoy people with it, but really bring all your life force power. as if you're a wild, black jaguar or something versus a tame little chihuahua, not that I have anything against chihuahuas, but the taming, the domestication of, personally, of the animals, I don't like seeing that very much. I love the wildlife. And we have that wild spirit, that heart that's aflame with love for our world, for our children, for each other, for life itself. And we have to evoke that and bring it forward, because that is who we truly are, that flaming heart. And we tend to, be diminished mostly by others and by the way, the status quo, the way most people live a life, which is a life of quiet desperation and slavery to jobs they don't get well paid for women especially, or women who are getting older. And, I looked up and down like, well, you've got nothing to offer us. And it's appalling what's going down in our world of work, and I won't have any of that. Like, that's rubbish, let's get out there and be feisty and make a difference and love our world into health and wellness again. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so why, my goodness, we could talk so much more, Julie, right, about this. But, this is why I just love Nikken. Now, I'll be honest with you, is why did I move into the business side of it? It's because, it is because I realized the power of it. Yes. I realized the power of the product in no time. That happened very quickly. It's 3 months after I started Nikken that I started to understand the power of the business. And that happened through someone, I brought on board someone who brought on board her cousin. And her cousin was in desperate need of our product. Her health literally transformed. While she had been, suffering from really chronic challenges for years and years and years, her health totally transformed in a couple of months. And I really didn't know her that much, but at some point in time, she was, I remember her. I mean, we're friends. I'm named because I've known her now for like almost 20 years. Her name is Martha, and Martha was at that time single on her own, under disability because of her chronic challenges, couldn't hold a job, was really surviving, just surviving, right? And when her health started to transform, she started immediately to think that, oh my gosh, that could really help me. I could help a lot of people. And at one time she reached out to me and I said to her, and we're on the call, and I said, what's going on, Martha? And she said, well, can I be very honest with you? I said, yeah, I'm just afraid. And I said, afraid of what? If I earn any money at this, I lose my disability pension.
Yes.
And I was listening to that, say, that's not right. That's not a way to live at all, right? When you live in fear, because that's really what it was. She was living in fear.
Yes.
And I said to her, I know you don't really know me, but can we talk numbers? And I talked to her numbers. That's when I talk about balance also. We can't just be women, we're really good at emotions. Sometimes we're way too emotional. We need to bring the rational into our business as well. Yeah. We need to talk about the money. We need to talk about the business side of it, because that has in the long run so much more impact around us. So we talked numbers. I talked numbers with Martha, and I showed her what she could earn, in what time, what it would mean, the kind of work. And I said, now just think about this and so on. And she called me back like a couple of weeks later, and then she said, I've decided to go ahead. Now, fast forward, she built her business. Not only her health turned around completely, she still has her chronic challenges that she has, but now she's managing them so well, it's not really slowing her down in anything. Because of Nikken, she was able to go back to her job and work with children, which is her passion. She's been able to earn more money than her disability. I could not tell you all the transformation. A year later, she sent me an email. When I moved here, she sent me an email, and that's the first thing I opened on a Monday morning. I remember that forever. And I just cried. I couldn't work that day. I cried because she just sent me an email and photos of her when she went rafting in Costa Rica.
Wow.
She could not even go out on a hike where she lived. And she said to me, Bernadette, if it had not been because of my cousin and because of you, I would have never been able to travel because she couldn't. There's no way I would think about going rafting. And that's a tough thing, rafting in Costa Rica, because I saw the picture, I said, oh my gosh. And then it's life transformation. Yeah. So the business is really critical. You know, that's why it's very important. Now, one thing that I want to, and I know we're already at 9:30, so I want to make sure that we respect the time, is fast forward. You know, I love Nikken. I love what we stand for. Yes. We are really making an enormous difference in the world. We are empowering people and families in their own health, in their own family, in their own community. How often do we really think in the terms of the socio-economic impact that we are having around the world? We don't talk about that enough. We are changing people, women's, particularly women's, because women are very good at that, you know, and so we are changing how we interact in society. We are empowering more mothers, more parents, fathers. There's lots of fathers who want to be at home with their kids and they can't. Yeah. We are changing that. We are bringing more parents at home. We are bringing more parents into, you know, I always say strong families make strong communities. So where do we start? One family at a time. That's the power of what we've got. So to me, it's, you know, sometimes, and on this, people say, when are you ever going to stop about this? I say, why would I ever stop talking about this? When I know this has been so good to me. Yes. The life that it created for me, how my children have been raised, how my children think about life today, is the manifestation of not only who I am as a person, as a mother, but also because of all what I've learned and what I continue to learn. Why would I not share that with people? That's my role, my responsibility. And I said to people, my responsibility is to share it with you. Your responsibility is to tell me if you want it or not.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
That's it. My responsibility is to share it with you. Your responsibility, you let me know what, if you want it and what you want. And then I will help you. But outside of that, that's it. That's all I can do. And the more I do it and the more I bring people who buy into that role, the better I am, the better people are, the better our community is. And that's why it has to go out. And we have to step out of our shoes and our comfort zone to make it happen.
Absolutely, Bernadette. You said it so beautifully, so eloquently. I'm going to pop into a gallery view here. We can see everyone, hopefully. And just, wow, look at us all here. We've got one that's missing. I don't know what's happened there, but, you know, look at all of us here and the power of this group and what we can do. We've got Ireland, San Francisco, we've got North America, we've probably got Canada, we've got England over here. We've got all these people, and we know that in Nikken, it really just takes a few of us to make a massive difference and to not be stopped, to let our voices be heard, to say it's my job to kind of share with you, your job to say if you're interested or not. You say, I love that. That's a very empowering thing to say. And we don't have time today to now do all the inner practices and outer practices, which is okay though, because I think we've covered a lot of really important information here, and passion. Passion being a critical component, your heart coming out, coupled with a smart mind that is not afraid to talk about the numbers. I love all that. And we all agree with that because we have to understand that aspect of it. And it's just powerful when people realize how much money they can make, how much money we've made, millions. It's incredible what we've been able to create income-wise. So thank you, Bernadette, for your beauty and eloquence and passion and power and tenacity. and doing humans being more regardless and making sure that gets out there and happening. I know everyone on the call has really appreciated you. Let me just see if I can unmute everyone so you can say.
Julie, you're talking about humans more, and just want to add one last thing is, one time I had a platinum came to me and that person said to me, Bernadette, I know all about the business. And my answer was this, and that I promise that's the last thing I'm going to say. My answer was this, and I said, if talking about the 5 pillars of health is about the business, yes, I am all about the business. And that, I believe, that's one thing I really want just to highlight as we finish the call. When we talk to Nikken, to people, do we really portray the 5 pillars of health? Do we really communicate that? Or do we find that 80 or 90% of our time is spent on the product? Mm-hmm. Because if that's, we're not giving the message.
Very good. Thank you so much, Bernadette. I think we can all say thank you. Most of you are unmuted.
Thank you. Yeah. Very powerful.
Very powerful. Such a pleasure. So everyone, let's take heed. Let's do our homework. I love what Bernadette shared, and Bernadette, if you'll share that with the group. We're getting some feedback here somehow. So I'm going to say thanks, everyone. We're going to stop the recording, and we'll see you next week, next Wednesday. Make sure to be on. Please invite people to be on the call. We really want to grow this to 100 and more. That's my goal. And we want to make a force field here of the women in Nikken. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Bernadette. Many blessings.
Bye, everybody.
To all of you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.